So say hello to the little blackbird that's got a nest right next to my car. Actually, I don't think that's a blackbird, is it? Is it a thrush? I'm not sure. But anyway, what I've been working on today is pulling out all the components that I don't need. So I'm taking out the heated seat element, seeing as I destroyed that in a previous video that you can see when the car went a bit funny after the brushes cracked. Now I've just taken out the controller as well, and I'm probably going to remove the charger from this location. I may use it in some form later, however I may need space to install the inverter that's going in, because there's a really easy gap down there that will connect it to the motor. And yeah, so all we're doing for now is just taking everything out, taking all the bits out I don't need, seeing what space I have, and see what the new layout will be once I've given this a quick clean and brought the inverter down. So yeah, I'll crack on with that. And there's the old controller. I'm probably going to use that with the motor that I've got the motor in the front of the car. I'll probably use this for a different project, but otherwise I'll have a spare motor and a controller, which I might consider selling. We'll see. It's just that they're quite useful things that I may use again in the future. And this little thing still works as well. That's an inverter, that's a converter which converts it from 48 volts down to 9 volts. So you never know when those things may come in useful, I guess. So yeah, I'm just going to carry on stripping this out, and I'll update you once that is all done. So there we have it. We have everything completely removed from the car now. This is the rest of the wiring loom that I cannot seem to remove. Some of the bits I will need, some of them I won't, but I'll probably just have to tidy them up and tuck them out the way. There's the 240 volt coming in, so if I ever get a new charger or whatever, or use the existing or move it or whatever, I can just hook back into that. And yeah, so that's it for the time being. I have just got to do a bit of work in here and get the inverter in. So all I'm going to do for the time being is get the inverter in, get some batteries in, and get some batteries connected to 120 volts and see if I can get the thing to run in here. Now I was going to put some new wiring down into the motor, but there's a chance that the existing wiring on the inverter may be long enough without causing too much of a problem with the suspension going up and down. Now if that's the case, I might use the original wiring, and that will save me having to do some more modifications. I can always put a bit of tape around the Anderson fittings just to stop it from coming apart if we do happen to go over a big bump or whatever, but the suspension doesn't move that much, so as long as there's enough leeway, I might consider doing that, just for the time being at least, while we get everything functional. I'll probably have to put a bit of wood in here at some point also, and that will just kind of seal up some of those holes and give me something to screw down onto when I fix the inverter in place. So yeah, I think that's it. And then what I'm also going to work on is finding out which one of these connects to the accelerator, and instead of using the original accelerator on the inverter, I've got a plug that I've got a socket that goes onto the end of this, and I will put some of my own wiring in and connect up to the, hopefully, key switch as well. So I want to see if I can wire up the key switch 12 volt. Now the forward and reverse and everything, I'm not quite sure where those wires are, so I might use, it looks like they have a plug coming off them for the brakes, so for the reverse light, sorry. So there's two options I could do here. I could just just do it manually and use the existing reverse light switch in there when I do go into reverse, or I can try and find out how to connect the reverse lights. And I'm thinking of where these dials are down here. I'm thinking of putting the forward switch and all the other bits and bobs in there for forward, reverse, power and regen, and just have it down there instead, because they're all in one loom, and it'll be kind of a pain trying to separate everything and get it into the dash. So we'll see how it goes, see what I decide. But yeah, that's all the electronics taken out, and we've just got to work on putting the inverter in. Right, so there's the inverter in a place that I'm thinking of having it screwed down to some wood that will be fastened from underneath the car. This actually plumbs up perfectly with the top here. There's a spacer where the batteries sit on top of here, and there's a beam going across the top. It will actually be holding it right into place, and the fans will be here for ventilation, so it's in the perfect position. Now, there's also room down the back where, I mean, I'll probably put the wiring down there, but I could also put the inverter and a small battery, small 12-volt battery. We'll see what I think in a while, but that is essentially the inverter all in place. So now all I have to do is to put in all the other components and switch it on and see how it all functions. And I'll just have to wire up the foot pedal eventually and a couple of other things, but we're getting there slowly. So I mean, it shouldn't take too much longer to get this all set up, and we should be able to get some testing done. So here's the second bench test. I've got everything plugged in. I've got it all a bit crazy wired back here for now. So I've got the 120 volts running through. I've just got a 12-volt battery back here for powering things up. Now I was just checking that the forward drive moves in the right direction, etc., and that all the wiring works. That fitting is actually kind of perfect. There's not too much tension on the wires, so with a bit of fixing to hold that connector together, it might actually be okay for the time being. Anyway, so I've got the accelerator out here, and if we look at the wheel, it's turning. Now I don't know why the other wheel's not turning. It might be because the brake's a bit stiff in there and it needs loosening up, or maybe it's just because it's off the thing, and I don't know. I hope the differential itself isn't broken, but there we go. And the regen was kicking straight back in to stop it. That's quite strong regen, to be honest. And that's with the power turned right up on the on this dial here. Now, if I turn that back round to reverse, I was just checking that everything is indeed going the direction that it should go. So if I turn that back up, there's reverse. But at least we can kind of see it in action. So that's good news. That's all functioning now. I've just got to fix everything in after I've done some tweaking on the programming, because I just realised that the programming tool, once this is down here, you can't get the programming tool in. So I'm going to do some programming on it first. Set the voltages for the 120 volts so it doesn't cut out before the batteries go low. And aside from that, we're going at a steady pace, and doing quite well. So all I need to do afterwards, what I'm thinking of doing is all these fittings here, there's actually enough length to go between the seats here. So if I take the heated seats out, and where the cogs were at the other side, if I put something across and sit the fittings there, they'll just be between the seats, and you can turn them on there without having to take everything into the dash. And looking at this, I have a feeling that's to do with the reverse light, so it might be a easy fix to wire up the reverse light to this instead. And the only real thing that needs wiring up is this throttle. I've just got to take it apart and see if I can get it to function. It's a shame you're not allowed a hand throttle, because I could actually have it right next to me and use the hand to use it, but it's not a problem. I'll do some work on this and see if I can get it wired up into the throttle in the front of the car. So that's probably going to be one of the final jobs after I've got everything else running smoothly. And yeah, so that's the progress so far. And I'll keep you updated.